All right, coming at you live from the Catoctin School of Music. This is the beginner class, guitar class video number 2. Just to kind of review a little bit about what we talked about last week. We also had one of our classmates that was absent, so hopefully this can help you out too, Chris. And yeah, so let's just kind of start right at the beginning and discuss everything that we want to be practicing, and then I'll just play through a little bit of everything so that you can watch and listen and play along at home, and we'll just make this fast, short, and fun. So number 1, when you sit down with your instrument, make sure the neck of the guitar is angled up. There were a couple people that were letting it fall down just a little bit in the class yesterday. Remember, it's a lot harder for your left hand to come and press down on the neck of the guitar when the angle is down. So don't make it hard for yourself. Set yourself up for success. You can get a footstool, you can prop your foot up on a box, some books, anything. Get creative, but definitely get that neck angled up. Second thing is to get your guitar tuned up. You'll want to do that at the beginning of every practice. Remember, your strings are E, A, D, G, B, and E. So the silly little saying you can use to remember that is Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. Once you're all tuned up and you've got your guitar neck angled high, then I would recommend still starting out every practice with the 5th fret chromatic warm-up that we learned the first week. That's the one where we play all 4 fingers in a row, starting at 5th fret, going all the way down, all the way back up. For extra practice on this, try 2 plucks per note, so down, up, down, up, down, up, or even 4 plucks per note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way back, and then all the way to where you started from. So I would still recommend doing all that to begin with for each practice. Now, adding in the new ideas, we had looked at some tablature last night, and let's see, I've got my book here. That tablature is on page 31 of your guitar binder. And just as a quick refresher, you'll notice there's 6 lines. Each line represents a string, and then there's numbers on each line, and those numbers represent what fret to push down on. So, for example, our popular guitar riff number 1, which of course was our extra credit song from last week, Smoke on the Water, starts with a 0 on the G string. So that just means pluck that string open. Then the number 3, and we're reading from left to right, just like music or just like a book. So you'd push down right behind the 3rd fret wire. There's your 2nd note. 3rd note says number 5 on the G string. So you come push down on fret 5. So those 3 notes together sound like this. If we keep on going, it continues on. Famous Smoke on the Water riff. So the trick with this one is to remember your thumb always wants to be, you always want to have it in the middle of the back of the neck, but as I'm playing this, I'm actually letting that thumb glide right up with the finger, so I'm always supporting my hand. I'm not trying to leave the thumb in place and then reach up. You lose all the support, and it's just a lot more awkward and difficult for our hands. So the thumb, kind of pretend it's magnetized with your fingers, and it's going to follow along with it as you play. So for this riff, you can play it on any string. If you want to play right along with the Deep Purple recording, that's the band that wrote this song, then you'll want to play it on string 3, the G string. But you're certainly welcome to try it on all 6 strings. In fact, it kind of sounds cool on some of the lower pitch strings. That would be great practice. Try it a couple times on all 6 strings. Number 2 was the theme to Batman, the 2nd exercise on our popular guitar riffs, page 31 in the book there. So this is super simple. It's just kind of a good practice for right hand alternate picking, so down, up, and then just a little bit of kind of a speed workout. You can get it as fast as you want, really. So this is also written on string G. Starts out 2nd fret, so I'm going to use middle finger for this example. Bring it right behind the fret wire. Keep that thumb in the back. Still got the neck angled up, all that good stuff. And I'll go ahead and play through this slowly. So notice I was going down, up, continuously alternating. I never broke that pattern in the right hand. And then I try to just, on my left hand, just try to move my fingers as little as possible. I'll go ahead and play through this really fast for you, and I want you to notice how little my fingers actually move. So when you're practicing, and again, don't worry about speed yet, you want to worry about the correct technique, but once you get that correct technique set in stone, you'll be able to play really fast. So even while going slow, try to move your fingers as little as possible. And you'll be setting yourself up to play fast later on down the road. Okay, you're welcome to keep trying out the 3 other riffs on that page. Number 3 is the theme from Peter Gunn. Number 4 is the opening lick to Pretty Woman. And then number 5 is Sunshine of Your Love by the band Cream, written by Eric Clapton. Alright, one more thing to review for this week. We started looking at chords. On page 16, we have the best chords ever diagram, and there you'll see 12 different chords. Again, there's many more chords than just these 12, but these are kind of the ones I find sound really good together and are in more songs than not. So it's just a really good starting place for learning chords. So we started with E minor. Now remember, when you look at your chord diagrams, it's literally just a snapshot of the top 5 frets on your guitar. Lines going down represent your strings going down. The lines going across represent the frets going across, and then the numbers in this case represent fingers for your left hand. So for a little review on that, it's pointer finger is number 1, middle finger is number 2, ring finger is number 3, and pinky is number 4. So let's look at E minor. You'll notice there's a second finger on the 2nd fret of the A string. So put that down right behind the fret wire. Go ahead and keep that set. Of course, thumb is in the back supporting. Then we also want to put down 3rd finger, ring finger. So that'll come down on 2nd fret of the D string. And so if you can see my hand here, I've got both fingers right behind the fret wires, and I'm trying not to touch any of the other strings, because if you look at that E minor diagram, there's a bunch of zeros on the other strings. That means open. So we actually want to hear all 6 strings when we strum the E minor chord. Okay? You can double check yourself by playing 1 string at a time. If you feel like anything's being muted or you're going through slowly and you hear that sound, usually it's just because one of the fingers on our left hand is kind of leaning back too far and touching that string. So you really want to get on the tips of those fingers, keep them curved, and you should be fine. Okay? The next chord we looked at was A7. So that's going to be middle finger on 2nd fret of the D string. It's going to be 3rd finger on 2nd fret of the B string. There's an X on the low E string, the big E string, in this diagram. So once our left hand fingers are set, we'll only want to strum the bottom 5 strings. Should sound like this. Okay. Now if we flip the page in our binder here, 2 pages actually, so now we are on page 19. We're at our popular chord progressions page, and the very first popular chord progression is kind of in the style of Pink Floyd, and it's just those 2 chords, E minor to A7. Each chord gets 4 strums. I would recommend just doing down strums. So 4 strums on E minor. Switch to A7. Okay, now 4 strums on A7. also talked a little bit about tapping your foot if you want to try to give yourself a steady tempo to practice along with. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Just pick kind of a nice medium to slow speed. So I'll do 4 strums on E minor, and every time I strum it's going to be right with my foot tapping. Switch to A7, same deal. So 4 strums, right with my foot tapping on the ground. And your goal is, can you get to where you can switch between both chords without missing a beat? That's going to take some practice. Okay, next progression, number 2, that I would recommend checking out this week involves the E minor chord, which we already looked at, and then a D major chord. So if you flip back to page 16, you'll see your diagram for D major. Should look like this right here. Okay, it's a 3-finger chord. And we do not strum the big E string or the A string. So you'll start from the D string with your pick and just strum down from there. And then the strumming pattern on this one's kind of fun. It includes 8th notes, which is the note over top of the plus sign, or what we actually call is the and. So as I'm playing it, you're counting 1, 2, and 3, 4, and every time you get to that and, you do an up strum. So I'll do that again slowly. Ready, go. Down, down, up, down, down, up. The counting is 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. You can still practice along with your foot tapping, and what's cool is every time your foot comes up in the air, that's the in-between beat, that's where the and is, that's where that up strum is. So down, down, up. Can't really see from the video, but my foot is up in the air right now. So 1, 2, and 3, 4. So try that at home. And then of course we switch to our new chord, D major. So it's just these 2 chords back and forth. Yeah, one last thought on this is, we talked about this in the class last night, you can actually let your thumb loop over, lightly touch the E and the A string if you can, and that will actually mute them. You still want to practice having very precise strumming technique on the right hand, so only getting those bottom 4 strings, but as just like a safety net, a way to kind of double check yourself, you can have that thumb over top, which will also help mute in case you accidentally do hit the top strings. And so number 2 is Horse with No Name. I'll play it fast. Okay, should sound like that. Alright, and you're welcome to look at as many chord shapes as you want and kind of move through the other progressions. We'll talk more about chords next week. Remember just to go slow, try to get your technique perfect, and try to get a little bit of playing in every day. Alright, that's it for this week. Good luck and have fun.